With that, if there are no more questions, I will open the floor. Yes, you need to come up to the mic, right over here at the podium, and just state your name before your comment.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The gentleman that gave the summary, what's your name, please?
My name is Jim Scannell.
Scannell?
Scannell,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right. The board members, do any of you have a copy of the summary that was just read to us? Because I notice a lot of people, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's me because I'm a senior, but I wouldn't be able to contain everything that was said. And I thought as a courtesy, it would have been nice if we could have had the summary in front of us so that we could make notes and understand the difference between 3.4 or 4.1. My other comment is, when you closed the school in Schubert, Baldwin had a $4 million deficit. You closed the schools, what's the deficit number now? I believed it increased.
Yes.
6. So now if you have a business and within a year you lose $3 million in 1 year, isn't that a moment?
It would be if this were a regular kind of business, but there have been budget talks this whole year, and we've talked about why we are in the situation we're in. It has nothing, of course, to do with the school board, but it has everything to do with the loss of state aid and rising costs.
Yeah.
But these things we have discussed throughout the year, and we have, sent home a lot of information.
I know
and
that.
We would be glad to give you a summary.
Yeah.
As soon as we can. You just have to call.
I know that because at one of the meetings, there was a gentleman that had all the figures. He had all the figures of what was allotted from the New York State, and he was just, no one paid attention to him. So that's another subject I don't want to get into. One of the subjects that I do want to get into that I was alarmed about, it says you will be maintaining the education that is in Baldwin. Well, I have to tell you that Baldwin is not offering our children the amount of education and curriculum that other counties in Nassau County are providing. You're talking about going to museums. I read Newsday every day. I see all the different counties that are going when they have science. They have on-hand, outside of the school, experiments. I see in music. I never see Baldwin involved. So I'm not satisfied with the increase and for my children to be going to school and getting the same old laid-back education. Now the teachers are fine. The teachers are doing the best that they can. I have no complaints with the teachers, but I have a complaint with the board. I really, because I don't feel that your compassion, some of you just sit and stare. I never in the meetings do I see compassion. Do I hear innovative thinking? Do I hear creative thinking? You should be telling us how we can do better and how your kids could do better. You say, oh, we love our children and we want the best for them, but we need more than that. We need more than that. So I'm not satisfied because now you're coming down to 4, I can't remember, I'm a senior. But anyway, in Newsday, the governor said do not go beyond 3%. In Newsday, they gave a list of all the counties in Suffolk and Nassau, and Baldwin had the audacity to go to 7%. Are our children learning Mandarin Chinese? Are they learning Singapore math? A lot of the schools are doing this for their children. What are we getting? What are we getting? And it seems like it's going to be another $3 billion next year in the hole. I'm very upset. because I'd like to know where my money is going. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. By the way, Mrs. Hub requested your name, if you don't mind giving that?
Yes, I will at the end.
All right, thank you. Yes, come right up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Crooks. I'm from Tanwood Drive in Baldwin. I learned the fact that really I'm up here to discuss the new superintendent that was hired, which is something I just clearly don't understand. The board members hiring someone, another superintendent, right after we voted down the budget, with the crisis of financial crisis we have right now, is basically spitting in the face of the community. We have clearly, repeatedly said we need a decrease in administration. Just after we vote down a budget, which I think was ridiculous to ask us to pay 25% extra in increase, which is why it was voted down, by the way. Let me make that clear. Most of the people have the problem with additional 6, 6, and 6 instead of the actual just original 7. Maybe you would have had a chance if you just went with the 7. Most people in the community that I've been speaking to are outraged because of the additional 6, 6, 6. However, now that it was voted down, you may have to go back to something like 5 to get us to say yes. Let me go back to my original thought. The additional superintendent is outrageous. How dare you all go back behind us after we have clearly been shouting at you and you're not listening? We need a decrease in administration. Now, I am not completely ignorant. I do realize this is more than likely a replacement for Mr. Scannell's position. However, at this point, with the financial crisis we are in, I would think you would have left the position unfilled temporarily while we try to get our heads above water. Mind you, this community has what, 5,000 students in it? With Scannell, we had 4 superintendents. If we decrease his, if we leave his position unfilled, we'd be left with 3 superintendents. 3 superintendents for 5,000 students. I think you can do that. The superintendents are not literally walking around, literally hands-on teaching our students every day. The teachers are. We need to maintain them. We need to maintain the programs that's literally giving our children the education. Having a position that is well over $100,000, you could have left that unfilled and used that money for something else.
We hear your point, and we'd like to respond, but we won't be responding to everyone. But for this, we're going to respond. In this time of change and a failed budget and possibly losing programs, we felt that it was imperative to have a leader in this position, someone who's an expert. This is not the area that you cut back on. This is our assistant superintendent for instruction. We care about academics. It is our job to protect the academic structure of our schools and our educational program. And we need someone who is specifically trained in that position, trained in APPR, trained in all of the things we need in order to ensure that our children have a great education. So yeah, we hired someone, but it wasn't a spur of the moment thing. That person went through a vetting process. We were the last of their interviews. Okay, and Laura, did you have to make a point? And then we're going to give somebody else a chance also, Ms. Brooks, okay?
I mean, I would just add that now is not the time to be cutting back on curriculum and instruction. Right now, we need someone who's there, who's solid, who can really lead us and keep our academic core solid.
I understand that, but you're telling me the remaining superintendents can't put their 3 heads together and do the job? We are in a serious budget crisis. Under no circumstances do I want to endanger the curriculum, the educational level for our children. However, every time we turn around, there seems to be something else coming on with this school board. All of a sudden, we just voted something down, and then you have another person there to turn around and spend $100,000. Really? All right, you needed this position, this person in this position. Is there another superintendent that we can let go? Because honestly, at 5,000 students, we don't necessarily need 4 superintendents.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Susan Green, Everett Court. First, I'm seeking a little clarification on something. Am I correct that the 7% tax levy that would have been required with the budget that went down to defeat was a result of your asking for less than a 2% increase in spending, correct?
That's correct, 1.77.
I think that one of the issues here is, as evidenced I think by the first speaker, that information maybe was not out there in the public as much as it might be, that you were not asking for a 7% increase in spending. No. You were asking for less than a 2% increase in spending. It's the state that ended up putting us in that position. And correct me if, and I think that needs to be made clear to everybody.
Yes, and thank you for reiterating, but we have been talking about this for months.
But
thank you for that.
It needs to go not just to the people who show up for the meetings, it needs to go to the people in the community who don't have children in the schools, like my neighbor who said, well, I didn't vote, I didn't think I knew enough about it. People need to understand the board was not being horribly irresponsible in asking for a 7% increase. Unless I'm wrong, when Newsday put forth a list of the districts, I think the 7 districts that were trying to bust the cap, the only district that succeeded was the one that was in the totally ridiculous situation of actually decreasing spending, and they still had to ask for a tax levy that was above the cap. Yeah. So I think that is something you really, I don't know how you're going to do it, but it really has to get out there in a very big way, that the increase you're asking for is a lot less than what the tax levy is. The other thing I want to say is this. I've been a realtor in town since 2000. Believe me, we've had our own issues in my household, and I would not be happy about paying a 7% increase in taxes. But you need to think about what that tax increase means out of your pocket, and you need to think, if this district, if the budget fails and our school district is decimated and our children do not have the wonderful opportunities they have now in art and music and all the other, and the sports, you're going to lose a lot more than those extra couple $100 in the value